When was the last time you looked at your screen time report on your phone? Not when you accidentally opened it and closed it out of shame, like actually sat with a number and let it sink in. Most people have seen it once, felt their stomach drop, and never opened it again. And that reaction makes sense, because that number is genuinely ugly. The average person is sitting at somewhere between 4 and 7 hours of daily screen time. Some of you already know yours is above that and are hoping I move on quickly. But here is what that number actually is. It is not just the stat about your habits. It is a price tag. And today, we are going to find out exactly what you are paying. Let's start with a number that should make you put your phone down immediately. The average person spends somewhere around 6 hours a day on screens. Not all screens, just recreational scrolling, social media, short-form video, mindless browsing. 6 hours a day is 42 hours a week. That is a full-time job. You are working a full-time job for free. Except instead of getting paid, you are making someone else rich. The platforms are not free. You are the product. Your attention is being packaged up and sold to advertisers every single second you are on there. You are clocking in every morning, working all day, and going home with nothing. That is not a relationship. That is exploitation dressed up as entertainment. Now let's talk about what 6 hours a day is actually worth in real money. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Even at that floor, 6 hours is $43.50 a day. That is $15,000 a year in time you are giving away for free. But you are probably worth more than minimum wage. Most people watching this are. If your time is worth $20 an hour, that number jumps to $43,800 a year. If you're at $30 an hour, we are talking $65,700 a year in time handed over to an algorithm. And that is before we even get into what that time could have built. That is just the raw hourly value of the hours themselves. The actual opportunity cost is a completely different and much uglier number. Here is where it gets really uncomfortable. Let's say you scroll for 4 hours a day. Conservative estimate based on the averages. That is 28 hours a week. 1,456 hours a year. With 1,456 hours, you could learn a skill that doubles your income. You could build a side business that replaces your job. You could read over 100 books, learn a language, get a certification, start something real. Instead, those hours went to a feed that you cannot remember anything from. Think about the last 10 things you watched on your phone. Can you name them? Can you tell me one thing you learned? One thing that changed how you think? Probably not, because the content was designed to be consumed and forgotten immediately. So you come back for more. That is the whole business model. Let's talk about how this thing actually works, because it is not an accident. The platforms hire some of the smartest people in the world. Neuroscientists, behavioral psychologists, data engineers. Their one job is to figure out how to keep you on the app as long as humanly possible. They are not guessing. They are running thousands of experiments on your behavior in real time. Every notification, every autoplay, every suggested video, all of it is engineered to override your ability to stop. The infinite scroll was designed specifically to remove the natural stopping point. Books have chapters, TV shows have credits. Scrolling has no end. There is no moment where the app says, "Okay, you are done for today. Good job." There is only more, always more, perfectly calibrated to keep you from leaving. You are not weak for getting sucked in. You are human. But knowing the machine is built specifically to trap you should change how you engage with it. Now, let's talk about dopamine, because this is the part most people skip over. Every time you see something interesting, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine. A like on your post, a funny video, a surprising piece of news, a satisfying before and after. Small hit, feel good for a second. Then it fades. Then you need another one. This is the same loop that drives gambling, the same loop behind slot machines. Not a coincidence. The design is intentional, and the research to build it was extensive. Over time, your baseline dopamine level drops. Things that used to feel rewarding start to feel flat. Reading a book feels slow. A real conversation feels unstimulating. Deep work feels unbearable because your brain has been trained to expect constant stimulation. Your ability to focus is not gone, but it has been degraded. And a degraded ability to focus has a direct impact on your earning potential. The people who can sit down and do deep, focused work for hours are increasingly rare, and rare skills pay rare money. Your scroll habit is quietly eroding yours. Here is the money piece nobody connects to their screen time. Social media is the most effective marketing platform ever built, and you are on it for hours every day with your wallet nearby. You are scrolling through a feed that is showing you things algorithmically designed to make you want them. The influencer with the lifestyle you want, wearing something you did not know existed 5 minutes ago. The targeted ad that somehow knows you were thinking about exactly that thing yesterday. The limited drop, the collab, the thing everyone is talking about this week. Impulse spending triggered by social media is one of the fastest growing categories of consumer debt. People are buying things they did not plan to buy because an algorithm figured out what to show them. You did not make that purchase. The platform made it for you, and you handed them the credit card. Every hour you spend scrolling is an hour you are being marketed to. Every hour you are being marketed to is an hour you are at risk of spending money you did not plan to spend. The platform is free, but the purchases it triggers absolutely are not. Let's talk about the comparison trap, because this one has a cost that goes beyond money. What you see on social media is not real life. You know this. Everybody knows this. But knowing it does not stop your brain from reacting to it. Your brain cannot fully distinguish between a highlight reel and actual reality. So you scroll through vacations, cars, bodies, apartments, relationships, and success stories. And even though you know it is curated, something in your brain is running a comparison and losing. This creates a specific kind of financial damage that is hard to see, but very real. You start spending money to close a gap that does not actually exist. The outfit because you felt behind on style. The trip because everyone else seemed to be traveling. The upgrade because your current situation started looking inadequate next to a stranger's Instagram. This is called keeping up with a fictional version of other people's lives, and it is an incredibly expensive game because the bar never stops moving. There is always a better vacation, a nicer apartment, a cleaner aesthetic. The comparison trap does not have a finish line. It just has a credit card bill. Let's get into sleep, because this one compounds everything else. The average person who scrolls before bed loses between 30 minutes and 2 hours of sleep per night. The blue light suppresses melatonin. The stimulation keeps your brain too activated to wind down. So you get less sleep, and lower quality sleep when you do get it. Sleep deprivation has a direct, measurable impact on cognitive performance. Your memory gets worse, your decision-making gets worse, your emotional regulation gets worse. You are more impulsive, more reactive, more likely to make purchases you would not make rested. Studies have shown that sleep-deprived people spend significantly more on impulse purchases, because the part of your brain that pumps the brakes is too tired to do its job properly. So the scroll session that cost you 2 hours of sleep at midnight is also costing you the impulse buy you made at 2 p.m. the next day because your judgment was shot. One bad habit feeding the other, both with a dollar amount attached. Here is the one nobody wants to hear. Scrolling is making you worse at your job. Not because you are doing it at work, even if you are also doing it at work, but because of what extended scrolling does to your brain over time. Attention span research shows the average human attention span has dropped significantly in the last decade. The timeline matches almost perfectly with the rise of short-form content. You have trained your brain to expect a new stimulus every 8 to 15 seconds. When you sit down to do real work, the kind that requires sustained focus for 30 or 60 minutes, your brain starts screaming for a dopamine hit almost immediately. So you pick up the phone. Just for a second, which becomes 20 minutes. Then you try to get back into the work, and the context switch costs you another 20 minutes of lost focus. This is called attention residue, and it is one of the most significant productivity killers in modern work. Cal Newport has written extensively about this, and the research is not subtle. Deep focused work is where most real professional value is created, and your scroll habit is systematically destroying your ability to do it. Let's run the full number because I want you to actually feel the weight of this. 4 hours of scrolling a day, conservative, below the national average. At a modest $25 an hour value for your time, that is $100 a day, $36,500 a year in time value alone. Add an estimated $150 a month in impulse purchases triggered by social media. That is another $1,800 a year. Add the cost of degraded work performance. Even a 10% productivity drop on a $50,000 salary is $5,000. Add the compounding cost of skills and knowledge you never built because the time went to scrolling. Add the cost of sleep deprivation on decision-making, health, and energy. We are easily talking about $40,000 to $50,000 a year in combined direct and indirect costs, per year, every year. Over a decade, that is somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000. That is a retirement account. That is a paid-off house. That is financial independence. And it went to a feed you cannot remember. Before I give you the practical stuff, I want to address the pushback I already know is coming. But Dobers, I need to decompress. I need something to turn my brain off after a long day. That is a real need. I am not dismissing it. The problem is that scrolling does not actually decompress you. Research consistently shows it does the opposite. Passive social media consumption is correlated with higher stress and lower mood after the session ends. Not lower stress, higher. You feel like you are resting, but your brain is actually working, processing content, running comparisons, reacting emotionally to things. That is not rest. That is a different kind of stimulation. Real rest looks like a walk, a real conversation, a meal without a screen, light reading, things that actually allow your nervous system to downregulate. Scrolling is not rest. It is just a different kind of busy that does not pay you anything. So here is what to actually do. And I'm going to be specific because vague advice is useless. Step 1, get the real number. Pull up your screen time right now and write it down. Not to shame yourself, just to have an honest baseline to work from. Step 2, set a hard daily limit on your 2 highest usage apps. Not a suggestion, a lock. Most phones allow you to require a passcode to extend past the limit. Use that feature. Make it annoying to go over. Annoying enough that you usually will not bother. Step 3, delete the apps off your home screen. Put them somewhere you have to search for them. This sounds too simple to matter. It matters. Friction changes behavior. When something requires 3 extra steps, your brain does a quick cost-benefit and often decides not to bother. Step 4, charge your phone outside your bedroom starting tonight. Not next week, tonight. Buy a $10 alarm clock if you use your phone for that. It is the best $10 you will spend this year. Protect the first 30 minutes of your morning and the last 30 minutes of your night. Those windows compound more than almost any other change you can make. Step 5, replace the habit. Not eliminate, replace. Your brain is going to reach for the phone out of boredom and habit. Give it something to reach for instead. A book within reach, a notebook, anything analog. The goal is not to become someone who never uses their phone. That is not realistic and it is not necessary. The goal is to be the one deciding when and how you use it, not the algorithm. Here is the real thing I want you to take away from this. You are not scrolling because you are lazy or undisciplined. You are scrolling because some of the smartest people alive built something specifically designed to be impossible to put down, and then they put it in your pocket and gave it to you for free. Nothing is free. The cost just gets collected differently. Your attention, your time, your focus, your sleep, your money, your potential. That is what you are paying every single day. The person you are trying to become is not going to be built on a couch scrolling for 6 hours. They are going to be built in the hours you take back, the skill you build in the time you reclaim, the sleep you protect, the focus you rebuild. You already know this. The question is what you are going to do with knowing it. One change, tonight. Start there. If this hit different, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you are not already. I will catch you in the next one.